Melinna, you are on a TV show that yesterday got some nominations. And, even though we cheer, like last year, they said, well, when John Leguizamo said whatever John Leguizamo said, which I thought was not properly, it was not the proper framing for what needed to be said, because we don't have to compare ourselves to other marginalized groups to make a statement about white supremacy and oppression. And people said, well, Jarrell won last year. Are we supposed to be okay with just having one Afro Latino win? Or can we demand that we have more? Because for some reason, it just seems like, because some people didn't celebrate Jarrell, which was not that was some people, many of us. I mean, if you go from the pages of us who are Puerto Rican and Dominican, we all celebrated Jarrell. Many of us did. And listen, the white people who don't celebrate Jarrell don't celebrate us either, because they're busy being white people and they don't want to be associated with us either. Aren't we entitled to demand more just because one Afro Latino won an Emmy last year? Is that supposed to be enough for Latinos? Are we like Latinx people, because we're immigrants? Are we supposed to still always just accept scraps?
No, absolutely not. And I think that, to your question, we should absolutely be demanding more representation. But I think that where I get frustrated is the lack of deep insight into unpacking what that representation looks like, yeah, and what Latinidad is and what it's not. And ultimately, beyond mere representation and checking boxes, how are these conversations and these stories that we are pushing to tell going to then actually take on, politics and change socioeconomic conditions, so that we see material condition change. So we see actual oppression and socioeconomic disparities and health disparities change in the communities that we are demanding to be represented. So I think, you asked a question a few minutes ago, can we still talk about Latinidad and try to arrive at a point of unity, of cohesion? I think we can. I think we can have that conversation, but I think oftentimes, because we've been so accustomed to getting those scraps, and we have been erased for so long, not just in media, but in terms of access to resources and representation in government, in business, et cetera. We are rushed to try and arrive at a comfortable answer, at an answer that is tied neatly with a bow, that can be, checkbox easily, where we can all go to the same conference, we can all have the same award show, and we have to get really, really real about our own positionalities. Every single person who wants to have this conversation, engage this conversation of Latinidad, because they relate to it, whether or not they were born in Latin America or in the Caribbean, or they were born here, but that's where their ancestral ties are from. I think we have to start with our individual positionalities. Like, what is our family lineage? Literally, like, we have to negotiate our place in terms of race and ethnicity, and be really, really mindful to consistently interrogate the privileges that we carry and the privileges that we don't carry. So I think that this need to kind of be reductive about Latinidad and like, hey, we're all bilingual and we all love to dance, and I'm not saying that's anyone here, but right. I feel like I'm being overwhelmed and saturated with messaging like that, especially right now during Latinx Heritage Month, when we don't have even an agreement on using Hispanic and Latinx versus Latino. So I think sometimes I get frustrated when we get stuck on the cosmetic aspects, the performance of Latinidad, as opposed to really settling in on creating situations that can create change in material conditions for the underrepresented communities.